We heard a lot of dire warnings about supply chain problems leading to a crisis around the holidays. The much predicted crisis didn't occur. Packages are moving. Gifts are being delivered. Shelves are not empty. I'm sure you can go and find some shelf where it's empty because a particular sort of gifts are very popular. I don't know. But 90% availability. You know, after working with our administration, the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach have nearly cut in half the number of those great big containers you see.
But we now know that he ultimately pulled the plug in that interview on Sunday because he was upset with White House staff naming him singularly in the Thursday statement from the president. And we've been told about some of his objections to that were shared with the White House. Has the staffer who is, we suppose, responsible for putting his name in there, have they faced any retribution for this or been spoken to about it?
You know, Jackie, I haven't seen all of the comments that Senator Manchin has made on this. I know that there's been reporting on this, but I haven't seen him speak in depth about the specifics of what has upset him. I can dig further if that exists out there beyond the reporting. But what I would tell you is that we have been working with Senator Manchin for months now. The president has known him for years. We're going to spend less time looking in the rearview mirror and more about looking forward.
Is there going to be a softer, I guess, approach in dealing with Senator Manchin and some of the other, Democrats in the party who have been very vocal about being disappointed in him? Is there sort of a shift in strategy since this all blew up over bullying?
Well, again, I wouldn't characterize it that way, Jackie, but I would tell you that Senator Manchin is somebody who has won many tough fights in West Virginia. He comes proudly from a coal mining family. He's a pretty outspoken advocate for the things he believes in and the things he doesn't. And I would doubt he's a withering flower on the side of the road. So,
is Build Back Better being dead in the water the reason for extending the student loan moratorium?
Well, we would disagree with that characterization, as I think nearly every member of the Democratic caucus would as well, and we're forging ahead to get it done.
On Joe Manchin, the senator has said that he has been consistent in his objections to Build Back Better. Does the White House agree?
I think in terms of what? Give me more context of what he said.
He said he's been consistent about either cost, inflationary concerns, some things being permanent, some things not, some things being 1 year, 2 year, varyings on that. He said he's been consistent on that. I'm just quoting him. Does
Sure.
the White House agree that he has been consistent in his communication with the White House about his concerns?
We believe that the Senator Manchin has been engaging with us over the course of time and months in good faith. I think the statement we put out on Sunday made clear that we didn't feel that his announcement on Sunday was aligned with what he'd committed directly to the president on in terms of the framework of what he might support. So I don't want to characterize further.
But one thing he has said is whatever is in there should be there for a fixed number of years, and if there are things in there that are high priorities, they should become permanent. In general, does the White House agree with that?
Well, I would say first that the president has been clear that he wants anything that is in this package to be paid for. And he wants the package to be paid for. He wants the package to be paid for. There are components of this where there would need to be decisions made over the course of time about extending them. The president has been clear about his intention of paying for that. There was agreement on the length of time of different components of the package. Obviously, compromise is not a dirty word. We're going to continue discussing it, but beyond that, I don't think I have anything more to dig out for you.
On the supply data that you provided at the top, what do you believe the implications are with that success, as you described it, for inflation in the country?
Well, I think part of our hope here, a major economist will tell you this, is as you address the bottlenecks in the supply chain, more goods are able to travel, more on the shelves, that will hopefully help lower costs. And that is certainly what our objective and our focus is on.
Does the White House believe, from an economic perspective, that was the central driver of inflation, or are there other aspects of the economy that you still have to deal with to bring inflation down?
Well, there are a number of areas of different industries that we have seen price increases, right? And as we talk about inflation, the way the American people consume that is how much does a new car cost or a new car cost or a pound of meat. And so what we've been trying to do is attack every issue in each of the industries as they are coming up, right?
Registered voters were asked if the economic policies have helped them. 38% of registered voters said it hurt them. 43% said it made no difference at all. Also, 22% of registered voters say the president's policies are putting inflation, are getting inflation under control. It's only 22%. Half is saying that it's hurting inflation. At what point do you look at poll numbers like this and change course on economic policies?
Well, I think our economic policies are driven by economists, not by polls.
Are two Republicans of a few trying to get him to switch parties? What's the White House response to that, and is the president doing any sort of counter effort to keep him in the Democratic Party?
Well, I know Senator Manchin has been asked about this himself and has spoken for himself, as I assume he will continue to do. I would just note that the president considers him a friend. He believes they share values about a range of things personally, but also about why they're in public service. Manchin, but I would really point you to Senator Manchin to speak to that.
Where Build Back Better talks actually are right now? Like, are they back on? What's the process here in the weeks ahead, given some of the optimism we heard from the president last night?
Sure, and I think you heard optimism as well, Phil, from a number of senators who came out of a meeting or discussion of the members of the Democratic caucus last night. And I think what's important to note there is that there is agreement by the vast majority of members that we absolutely need to move forward. And the cost of inaction makes it so that we don't have there's no other option, I should say.
Senator Manchin's last counteroffer, I guess that was early last week, included many of the priorities of the president, as well as the top line funding number, but according to multiple reports, excluded the child tax credit extensions. This is obviously one of a key priority of the White House. But as you now kind of reignite negotiations here and try to get something done soon, would the White House be willing, would the president be willing to exclude that policy from the Build Back Better package?
Well, as Major said earlier, I'm not going to negotiate from here, but I will say that if anything is broken off, you would need 60 votes to get it done, right? Because the reason why we can do a Build Back Better package with every Democrat is because it's through a reconciliation process. That would require 50 votes.
Sounds like the child tax credits extension will remain in the negotiations of what the White
Again,
House
I
wants
think
to
there's
do.
a lot of discussions to happen over the next couple of weeks, but on the question of could we just move it forward alone, you'd need 60 votes to do that.
Support the idea of moving ahead with a vote in January, even as talks with Senator Manchin might still be in an early stage of trying to build it back together.
Oh, that was good. That was good there. We are, of course, continuing to press forward, working in close coordination with Leader Schumer. He hasn't called the vote yet, but we agree with and support his effort to get this done. Go ahead, Phil. Trevor's like, I've asked all my questions. I'm done. Go ahead, Phil.
I beat you, Trevor.
You promised fan picks first in early December, then before Christmas, and still haven't done so. Did the president have to backtrack on a selection after vetting?
I wish they were going to walk out here. Wouldn't that be a moment for Bloomberg? It would be a big financial wire day here in the briefing room. I don't have any update